going on, everybody? My name is Makaya and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are going to be reviewing season 2 episode 7 of Euphoria, and I'm so excited to dive into this episode for you guys. We got the finale coming up next. I'm super sad that the season is ending, but we'll just have to find something else to occupy ourselves now that we have no more Euphoria Sundays. But it's going to be okay. We're going to get through it together. And I'll be here reviewing other shows for you guys. So don't forget to stay tuned to my channel. With that being said, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications. All my social medias will be linked in the description box down below and also be at the end of the video. With that being said, let's get into this episode. So episode 7 is LEXI's episode. It's all about LEXI's play. Yes, y'all. I was so excited to dive into this episode. And we see the episode begins with LEXI kind of mentally preparing herself, kind of having her Sharpay moment, her ma moment in this beginning. And then overture flashes on the screen. And we are taken back to a scene that we've already saw in a previous episode, but we see more of this episode. We're taken back to Rue's dad's after funeral wake at Rue's house, and we see Susie comforting Leslie, Rue's mom, after their dad's funeral. And it was so sweet to see that, you guys. I really enjoyed getting to see Susie be so sweet towards her, because everyone was coming up to Leslie kind of stressing her out with asking her about everything, and they're like, what are you gonna do now that you no longer have money? Not that you no longer have money, but what are you gonna do for money? Did he have insurance? Did he have a life insurance policy? And Leslie's kind of just everybody's coming up to her, and Susie's like, it's okay, don't let them stress you out. And that was so sweet to see that. I was so happy to see that sweet moment between Susie and Leslie. And after that, we see Lexi going to Rue's room, and she reads her a poem, and Rue's talking about, she's like, please don't, start off talking about, they talk about this poem, and Rue's like, people tell me grief is a long valley, a winding valley where every bend may reveal a new landscape. And Lexi's like, can I read this poem to you? She's like, the full poem is Let This Darkness Be a Bell Tower by Raina Marie Rauch. How do you say it? I can't figure out how to say it. I think it's Rauch or something like that. And it transitions into Lexi's play after she gets done reading that sweet poem to Rue. And we see everyone's in the audience. You got Rue, Jules. Rue and Jules are exchanging looks, as we know they got drama going on. And we'll get more into that later. And Cassie and Nate are there. Just saying their names out of my mouth disgusts me, if I'm being honest. But they're there. And Maddie is there. And Kat sitting beside her. Even though I'm mad at Kat right now because of she did to Ethan. But I digress. We ain't gonna get into it. But Kat is there, and it's Lexi's big night. We get to see Bobby this episode. I love Bobby. Her adorable little voice just gives me serotonin. Lexi, your play is going. I hope it goes good. Everyone stays cute on Lexi. She's just so cute. I love her voice. And the actress who plays her name's Veronica. She's absolutely adorable, and she is phenomenal. And I was so glad that she got casted. I'm so happy for her. And we get to see Bobby this episode, and everyone's in the play. And so the play starts off with everyone seeing their doppelgangers, basically. They have all the Jade is Rue, Hallie is Cassie, Marta is Maddie. And if you guys wonder, I'm looking down, I have my notes right here. And Luna is Kat. And so one of the funniest moments has to be Maddie going, is this play about us? I was like, yes, girl. Who's gonna tell her? Absolutely it is. And so after that, the name of the play is Our Life. And we see Maddie automatically realizes the play is about them. And then Lexi and Fez, we are caught up on Lexi and Fez. We find that they've been talking to each other every single day for the last few months, which I think is so cute. I love them, you guys. I love them together. And Lexi tells Fez that the play is based off real events, and Fez tells her she's playing with fire with that, basically. And he's like, I don't know about that, Lexi. And so Ethan is in the play, and we get to see him shine this episode. I absolutely love getting to see Ethan shine. And he plays he plays so many characters, y'all. He plays Lexi and Cassie's mom. He plays Susie. He plays Nate. He plays who else does he play? He plays it'll come to me, but he plays multiple different people in this play. He plays so many people. And so Susie is excited to see when Ethan comes on stage playing her. She's like, that's me. I was like, I love her. She's so supportive. We stand Susie. Susie's supportive mama. And so Faye, we are taken to seeing Faye at Fez's house, and she is steaming Fez's shirt to prepare him for the night. And Faye is sitting there, and then Fez comes up to her and thanks her for steaming his shirt. And then after that, Custer comes into the house, and Faye kind of looks at him weirdly because, as y'all know, she knows that he's trying to rat Fez an ashtray out for killing Mouse. And so he comes in the house and puts his phone down on the table, and the camera focuses in on his phone. So I feel like he's recording on his phone, possibly. We'll find out. And so we go back to the play, and Hallie is playing Cassie, and we just see that Lexi talks about how her whole life she always kind of was in Cassie's shadow in a way, and how Cassie had big boobs, and she kind of had all the attributes that made boys go after her. But Lexi also talks about how she was kind of jealous of that at first, because she's like, I was like, Cassie's 433 days older than me, so in 433 days I'll look like Cassie. But then you see that she says that she's kind of happy that she doesn't have Cassie's body, because she says this one line, she's like, I want to be, she goes, at least I'm not only known basically for my body being my only good attribute, in other words, in so many words. And so after that, you see Lexi also talk about how she's not envious of Cassie, because they show the scene of Cassie on the phone. She's like, I wasn't even like flirting with him, like I would never do that. Like, you see that basically because of her body, she has issues with everyone always thinking that she's flirting with guys, and when in reality, boys are the ones coming on to her because of her body. So basically, she gets unwanted attention and everything because of her body. And so they show a scene of Cassie and Nate walking in the hallway, and Maddie's like, interesting, basically. And she's like, at least she has to look down. And so we see, oh yeah, Maddie goes, she certainly looks the part. And so after that, we see Kat and Maddie laughing at them and how stupid they look, as they should. And so Fez, we go back to Fez. He tells Lexi he'll be sitting in the front row. He's like, I'm be in the front row, shawty. Like, he was like, I'll be in the front row. And so he is trying to get ready to go to Lexi's play and to get there. And then in the flashback, we see a scene that we saw in season 1. But this time, y'all, I absolutely loved how they did callbacks to things that we saw in earlier episodes. This episode, like, we see Lexi's point of view of a scene that was shown from Cassie's point of view in season 1, which is a day that they had with their father, who was a drunk. And we see Cassie remembers that day fondly, but Lexi remembers that day as being terrified of getting in the car with him because he's drunk. And she's holding her ice cream, and her ice cream, she's like shaking. Her ice cream falls off the cone and falls into the seat beside her. So you just see how vastly different their mind remembers that day. Like, you see the vast difference between both of the ways they both interpreted that day with their dad. And so Lexi cries as they're driven back home, and then we see a flashback of Lexi seeing Rue get drugs from Fez, which was interesting to see. So we know that she's actually known of Fez for a while now. And Rue and Lexi sit on top of Fez's store and talk about like life and keeping up with the trends in high school and how they're going to stay cool and everything. And we cut to Rue and Gia talking in Rue's bed, which we saw in the end of the episode, which was it? 6 or 5, and we saw, I think it was 6 possibly. We saw Rue and Gia talking in her bed, and we saw this in episode 6. And they talk about their dad, and Gia's like, how am I like gonna always remember dad? Like basically, like she's like, how am I gonna constantly remember him? And Rue's just like, you're gonna forget certain things. It's like there's nothing to help against that. You just have to try to hold on to what you can, basically. And we see Rue's speech at her dad's funeral, at his wake again after, and then we see a flashback of Cassie and Lexi and Susie dancing with their dad before he sadly left them. And Cassie gets emotional, so the Susie in the audience just like remembering that moment that they had with their father before he left them. And then we see Hallie talks about how dedicating your life to someone, Hallie, aka Cassie, talks about how dedicating your life to someone is the most beautiful thing she thinks that you can do with your life, and how she thinks it's such a beautiful and the best thing you can possibly do. And we see Custer back at Fez's house with his weird self. And he calls Faye over, and Faye, y'all, I was rolling. Faye rolled her eyes at him. She was like, I was like, same, Faye. And so she goes over to him, they start whispering, and you see Ashtray in the back looking like, what y'all whispering about? Like, and so I love that Ashtray always is ready. Like, he is always he is always on with it. You can't get nothing past Ashtray. So you see him looking over there, and then Fez calls Faye into his room. He asks her if he should do a tie or no tie with his suit. He's like, you think people think I look handsome? And I was like, oh. And Faye was like, yes, I do. And I was like, it was such a sweet moment. And you just see, this whole episode, you just see fear throughout Faye's eyes, because I feel like she's like waiting for something to happen. Like, she knows that basically the kettle's gonna boil over. The pot's gonna boil over soon. So she's just waiting to see when it happens. And so we see a flashback of Rue putting a beard on Lexi's face. And Fez look on her, looking at her. He goes to talk, and Fez starts talking to Rue. He's like, hey, yo, she look like that painter from CBS. And Rue's like, Bob Ross. He's like, yes. And so that was a callback to season 1. As you guys remember, Lexi dressed up as Bob Ross for the Halloween party. So I loved that they did a callback to that. And then Rue and Jules are not speaking to each other, and we get to see more of that. And we see that a scene of Rue's talking about, she goes, I used to think we were meant for each other, and now that feels like a lifetime ago. And we see them like exchanging glances as they're in the bathroom at school, and Rue goes, sup, to Jules basically, and then leaves. And you just see that they want to talk to each other, but things are just still so fresh right now. Like, they're like a scab right now. Like, the wound is they're like a freshly picked scab. Like, the wound has not closed and it's not started healing yet. So they're in that stage right now. And then Leslie and Rue have a harsh talk. They have a talk, and Leslie's like, I'm not finna, you can keep taking drugs, Rue. Like, she basically tells her she doesn't care if she dies anymore. She's like, I am worried, focused on Gia now. Like, I can't keep worrying about you. She's like, if you want to fry your brain and get rid of all your brain cells, so be it. She's like, because at a certain point, basically, it was a really harsh talk, but the whole meaning behind it was Leslie telling her, you are responsible for your choices that you make. I can't make the right decisions for you. I can't force you to make the right choices. You have to choose to make the right choices. And Rue's like, I'm not, and then Leslie, she goes, you only care about yourself. And she was like, no, I don't. She was like, because they start talking about Gia, and she's like, Gia's getting D's in math. She's also always up when I go to check on her in the morning in her room. Like, you think that Gia's fine. She's like, okay, if you think she's fine, fine. But she's not. And Rue was like, I didn't know that. And she's like, that's because you don't care about anybody but yourself. And she's like, no, that's not true. And so and then she was like, I get it, Mom. Like, basically, they come to an understanding. And it was a hard conversation, but I'm glad they had it. Because I hope it opened Rue's eyes to the fact that Leslie just can't keep doing this over and over again. She can't keep, like, relapsing and expecting them to be there to help her. Like, Rue has to want to help herself. That was the main point of that conversation. And so After that, we go back to the play, and Hallie and Martha are on the stage, cough, cough, Cassie and Maddie. And they talk about how they've been inseparable since ninth grade. And how Maddie, which is something we didn't know until this episode, moved in with Cassie and Lexi for a few months when her parents were fighting. And this allowed Lexi and Maddie to get to know each other more and to get closer. And they have this sweet scene together, Lexi and Maddie, which made me so happy to see. It was so sweet. And I just love Maddie, you guys. Like, Maddie's such a sweetheart. Like, people don't really talk about how sweet of a person Maddie truly is enough. And so we see Maddie and Cassie sitting in the audience, kind of looking a little somber, kind of reminiscing about the good friendship that they had until Cassie's stupid self ruined it. All for Nate. And so we finally get to see what happened after Rue outed Cassie in episode 5. And we see what happens after they go upstairs. And y'all, that was so, made me so sad. Maddie starts banging on the door and she's like, Cassie, how could you do this to me? Like, she's like, when is it gonna end? She's like, he broke my heart. And she was like, you're with the boy, like the guy who abused me, basically. Like, she didn't say that, but everybody knows what Nate did to her. And she's like, after all he did to me, like, why is this happening? When is it gonna end? And Maddie's like, you're a coward, and I never would have done this to you. And I really want to focus on that, because heavy on the I never would have done this to you. She never would have done what Cassie did to her, period. And that's what makes it all the more disheartening and hard to see, because literally Maddie never would have hooked up with McKay. Ever. Like, or anyone Maddie was interested in, or anyone Cassie was interested in. So the fact that Cassie did it to her is just so sad to see and witness. And we see Cassie leaves the play and goes to the bathroom. Might I mention Nate did not go after her? Yeah. And she goes in the bathroom. She puts on this, y'all, I'm gonna insert the clip here. Please, this was so freaky. The scene of Maddie being in the mirror like this. Y'all, I was like, okay. Like, that whole debacle, whole scene was crazy. Sydney Sweeney acted her butt off this season. I have to say that. Literally props to her. Super proud of her performance this season. Because Homegirl looked like she was crazy in that scene. And so we just see even more of an implication of Cassie always wanting to look perfect. Everything is slowly around her is turning, everything is turning to hell around her, but she still wants to look perfect, always wants to look perfect. And I was just like, girl, that facade is gonna crack. Like, it's coming, honey. Like, just wait on it. And so after all of that, we see this random scene of Kat camming again. Okay. Like, I was like, interesting that they did a callback to that randomly. But we also see Cassie and Nate in this weird sequence, and she's like, you can control what I eat, what I wear, I belong to you. Girl, what? Even Nate was looking at her like, okay. And so, and then y'all, this is literally Cassie, the epitome of Cassie. She hasn't seen anybody saying, at least I'm loved. Girl, by one person. Everybody else hates you. Stand up. Stand up. Like, don't nobody else like you. You are. And then the worst part is she thinks she's loved. Nate do not give two craps about her. That man could not give less. Like, he cares more about a trash can than her. Genuinely. So after all that, we see that she reminisces about Nate reminisces about his relationship with Maddie, because Ethan's character, Ethan plays Nate, and Martha are on stage, and Nate's like reminiscing about his relationship with Maddie, and Nate has a bad dream with Maddie in it. And can we talk about how the weird scene of him and Cal, and also, y'all, how he had Cassie in the same situation, that he had Cassie in the same hotel. He imagined Cassie in the same hotel room and in the same like position that Jules was in her sex tape with Cal. Nate knows he's just like his father, and he doesn't like it. And people were talking about that scene on Twitter. They were like, I am so weirded out. I was like, it's not just you, honey. It's all of us. But I feel like the real meaning behind that scene was that Nate is his father in so many ways. And so that's why Cal, like, got on top of him at the end. He woke up. I was like, I would too, because that was disgusting. But anyways, and Cassie consoles him like a fool that she is, now that she's living with him. And Maddie goes to talk to Samantha again, and Samantha gifts her the dress, because she tells her basically that she wants to leave the town, and how she's sad that she's gonna leave Theo basically. And she gifts her with the dress that she's been trying on in her closet. And I didn't peep this, but on Twitter I saw that Samantha has a camera in her closet. So she's been seeing Maddie try on all these outfits, I believe. And so that I hope that she's, has good intentions with everything. But I saw that on Twitter and I was like, interesting. So Fez hasn't come to pick, like Bobby tells Lexi that Fez hasn't come to get his ticket yet. And Lexi's kind of like, okay. And so after that, we see also there was a scene with Lexi where she dresses up, and I insert a picture. Y'all, Maude looks so good. She looks so good in that scene. And basically, she's talking about how she's like, I want all the boys to be like, I wish I'd boned Lexi Howard back in high school. And I was like, oh my God, you look so good, girl. And so she had that kind of moment. And so the climax of the episode, no pun intended, they do this whole like part of the play where Ethan, y'all, it was hilarious. Martha comes in, and she is like, comes in, and Ethan's playing Nate, and he's like, babe, I'm gonna go work out with the boys, like, can you go? And she's like, you guys are so gay. And he's like, babe, how could you say that? And she's like, whatever, and leaves. And he's like, yo, when you guys rub some of this oil on my arms, getting too freaking big. And so, y'all, that scene had me crying, because that's literally how I be imagining jocks sometimes. And so we see this complete scene of them work out to I Need a Hero, and there's all this gay innuendo going on throughout, all this sexual innuendo going on throughout it. They over here thrusting and shaking up water, and I was like, yo, what is going on? And so after that, everybody is clapping up. Everybody's like, yes, like everyone's like, give us what we came for, Ethan. And so Ethan eats it up. Ethan ate that up, period. Him and everybody in that scene, the choreography ate that up. The set, the props ate that up. Can we talk about the production of this play, by the way? Who funded this? Because I've been in the high school theater production. Baby, it was a struggle. So I don't know who funded this, but I digress. And so after that, the play ends. Nate is sitting in his seat. He is embarrassed. Honey, it was embarrassing for him. And Nate goes, Lexi, you're a fucking G. And I was like, period. As she and is. That's why I got my shirt on in honor of the queen today. Had on a little Argyle print in honor of our queen, Lexi, today. And so, after that, Lexi is sitting in the background proud of her work, and Nate gets up and leaves, and Cassie, like the dumb fool she is, runs after him. Mind you that he did not run after her when she left the theater. Man could care less. But here she goes, Nate, where are you going? Right after him. And so Nate gets upset, and he's like, that's your sister. That was so freaking homophobic, man. Like, how could she... that's your sister. Like, can't believe she did that. You're kicked out of the house. And so that sets Cassie off, y'all. Y'all, the way Cassie walks back to the front of the auditorium and starts breathing her hot breath, I was like, girl, you're fogging up the glass. Back up, first of all. She literally looks like a demon sitting over there breathing. She is mad at Lexi now because she has been kicked out of Nate's house. And so Nate was, like I said, Nate's upset. He's like, that's so homophobic. And Cassie is angry. And then the episode cuts to be continued beside Cassie's face, and the episode ends. Y'all, this episode was insane. I am so excited to review the season finale for y'all. They've been renewed for season 3 for you guys, and to talk about it. And with that being said, thank you for watching my review. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and turn on post notifications, and all my social medias will be linked in the description box down below, and also at the end of the video. Thank you guys for watching my video. I really appreciate it. Super excited to review the next season of Euphoria for y'all, whenever that comes out. Probably 2 years from now. Whew. But love you guys. Bye.